everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, back again for some more wrestling news. And I've really got that Monday feeling here in the UK because, I mean, well, first of all, the government have decided that the arts aren't really important. And also they're pitting the North against the South in a bit of a culture war because they're closing the North down because of the whole, you know. Got some wrestling news to talk about anyway, so without any further ado, let's take a look at those lovely headlines. First of all, an AEW star has hinted at an impending gimmick change. Next up, NXT talent are said to be uncomfortable returning to the Performance Center under current circumstances. And finally, a big and interesting move is expected on tonight's WWE Draft. So, first of all, let's talk about that AEW star who could be getting a new gimmick according to their own Twitter, and a new YouTube series which is set to launch on their own personal channel today, later on today. It's none other than Matt Hardy. So Matt went on Twitter yesterday and announced that he is launching a new web series later on today, i.e. Monday. According to these tweets, the series will introduce fans to the new him. Of course, Matt Hardy is no stranger at all to reinvention. In fact, probably one of the most successful wrestlers ever when it comes to reinventing themselves and keeping themselves fresh over a long period of time, a long career. So it'll be very interesting to see what he does. The tweet made mention of the multiverse, the hashtag multiverse of Matt Hardy. Perhaps that means there's going to be various different characters, as we've seen him portray kind of a split personality deal before. Maybe it means that it's going to be like, you know, the whole Hardy broken universe thing with all various different members of the family involved. Could just be a vlog series involving him and his, you know, his young family and his wife and everything. Or it could be something a bit more grand and weird and strange, because we all know that's what Matt Hardy kind of excels at in this day and age. The full tweet reads, finally, tomorrow at noon Eastern, the first episode of my brand new web series, The Multiverse of Matt Hardy, debuts. Get ready to see all of me and meet the new me. Here's a teaser for tomorrow's 12 PM Eastern premiere at Matt Hardy Brand. So we'll certainly be checking that out later on tonight, and I just don't know what it's going to be, but of course rest assured Matt is one of the most innovative and creative guys. He's not afraid to take a risk, is he, in the wrestling world, really, Matt Hardy. So it should certainly be something that he's put a lot of passion into, and it should be something that proves very interesting. I think the big question going forwards in a broader sense, not just concerning Matt Hardy, is whether that character will carry over into AEW and, you know, be in the elite and interact with other characters in AEW, or whether it'll be more of a self-contained Matt Hardy universe on his own YouTube kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see how much that affects his AEW character and whether that informs creative decisions about his character going forwards. Next up, Fightful are reporting that apparently NXT talent, or some NXT talent, are uncomfortable following the COVID outbreak recently in NXT and returning to the Performance Center under such conditions. So Fightful have said NXT trainees were set to return to the renovated Performance Center on Thursday the 8th, but many weren't comfortable with returning for obvious reasons. Apparently months prior, NXT talent were told there would be no heat on them if they didn't feel safe to come in and train, but they might need to explain it to Vince. Fightful then go on to say they've not actually heard of any instances of that actually happening, of anybody having to explain themselves to Vince. Bit of a contradictory thing though, isn't it, to say, no, there'll be no heat on you at all if you decide not to turn up and train, but you might have to explain yourself to the boss though. Well, what the hell does that mean then if it doesn't mean the first thing? Anyway, despite them saying there'll be no heat and no actual instances of having to explain themselves to Vince, apparently multiple NXT trainees in contact with Fightful have expressed their discomfort with training, with multiple citing the number of COVID truthers on the NXT roster that just don't take the situation seriously enough. So it seems like there's a bit of a split in the locker room between those, you know, taking all the right precautions, preparing for any potential spread of the virus properly, and then those COVID truthers, to quote, you know, Fightful there, who really don't see it as a serious thing, aren't taking it seriously, and are therefore, you know, putting not only their peers in danger, but also the livelihoods of their peers in danger, because, you know, it's a cutthroat business, and if you take time away, someone's always going to be there to replace you. It's really sort of distressing stuff, isn't it, to be an NXT trainee right now, I imagine. So obviously we'll see what happens going forwards. Yeah, it's not good news for the NXT brand, which was undergoing a little bit of a resurgence, I think. I feel like the brand gained a lot of momentum coming off NXT TakeOver 31. There was a whole host of great matches at that event, especially the main event, Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly. Johnny Gargano and Damian Priest put on a good match as well. Everyone was looking pretty decent. And obviously the new look of the set looked fantastic, but this could again be another bit of negative press to kind of maybe set the brand back a little bit. And now we move to Dave Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer newsletter, because Dave reckons there's a big draft move expected for tonight's edition of Raw. On Wrestling Observer Radio, he suggested that he thinks this big move will come from Raw over to SmackDown. Obviously, on last week's SmackDown, we saw several big moves in both directions, such as Styles to Raw, Rollins to SmackDown, and one of the biggest ones, I think, in terms of social media activity, a lot of people were talking about it, was Woods and Kingston to Raw. And they just won the SmackDown Tag Team titles, of course, but not Big E. He seems to be staying on SmackDown away from his boys. So that prompted a lot of talk for a couple of reasons. First of all, and I think most prominently, it seems like they might be splitting up the New Day, which is something that nobody wants to really see. But secondly, also, the fact that the SmackDown Tag titles are heading to Raw, which is a bit of a weird one. So, following on from that, Meltzer seems to fully expect the Street Profits, the current Raw Tag Team Champions, to be heading over to SmackDown, carrying the red belts with them over to the blue brand in the opposite direction. This will be interesting. I assume, and I think I'm probably right in saying this, I assume they'd probably do maybe a skit tonight where they both sort of see each other, the two tag teams, and just swap the belts, because they're like, well, guess what? We're on this brand now, you're going to that one. We're both champions. Let's just hand the titles over to the other team. I can definitely see that actually happening, but if they didn't, because there's every chance they won't swap the belts as well, then what would they do? Because then you've suddenly got the Raw Tag Team Champions on SmackDown and the SmackDown Tag Team Champions on Raw. And even if they did do that, I can't see it lasting for very long. They'd probably swap it back at Survivor Series maybe. But how would they explain it? Would it confuse new viewers? Are there any new viewers too confused? I don't know, it's a really strange one. But I guess we'll all see how it plays out tonight and then heading forwards from there. But Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer newsletter, or radio, excuse me, seem to suggest that the Street Profits will be heading to SmackDown. Now let's do a bit of a general Raw preview. Several big matches and segments have been announced tonight for the show, which is of course the next part of the draft as well. So it seems to be a pretty incident-filled Raw already, even without us knowing too much about the show, but we do know 4 big things that are set to go down. So first of all, Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah, of course, is set to no longer be the Monday Night Messiah, having been drafted over to SmackDown, so he will bid farewell, apparently, to the red brand. Mustafa Ali will speak for the first time since being revealed as the shocking leader of Retribution. Maybe he'll confirm or deny whether he was actually the hacker as well. A dual-branded Battle Royal as well will determine Asuka's next challenger for the Raw Women's Championship, and Kevin Owens and Aleister Black will face off in a no DQ match, obviously coming off the back of the match they had where Aleister Black was DQ'd for lightly elbowing the ref. That was a bit annoying. Hopefully this match is a little bit more similar to Sheamus and Big E's match on SmackDown, which was a lot of fun, and they went a bit wild and crazy in the first hour of the show as well. Hopefully KO and Aleister Black can do something similar. Interesting as well to see what Rollins is going to say. I'm assuming he'll continue his feud with Murphy, well, you know, because they're both heading over to SmackDown, so maybe that'll just continue once they get there. And it'll be interesting as well to see what Mustafa Ali has to say as, you know, the shocking new leader, or the shadowy figure being revealed as the leader of Retribution. Yeah, should be an interesting show to watch, just to see the developments. But obviously that's no guarantee of quality. We'll have to see how good the booking and the storytelling is as well. Just got a notification there. Let's see what it is. It's news related, so I hope this isn't we could have breaking news right now as I'm recording this video. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's okay. Right, let's go to the last story. No, you know what? I'll tell you what it is, right? Ringside News has spelled our name wrong in their article. They've cited us for a news story, which was in Tom's video earlier on today, and they've called us Cultaholic. So cheers, Ringside News. Cheers, lads. Thanks very much. They've also referred to her as Eva Maria. So anyway, let's move on to our final story. And finally, the contract of a current world champion for a prominent wrestling promotion could be coming to an end. And this is their current champion, so I don't know what's going to happen going forward. The man in question is none other than Ring of Honor world champion Rush, or Roosh, I think is the correct pronunciation. But yeah, he's the 2-time and current Ring of Honor world champion. And according to Meltzer, his contract's about to expire at the end of the year. Now, that's not particularly unusual, maybe. You could say, oh, well, maybe they're just going to, you know, extend his contract. But he didn't work the last set of tapings and hasn't really been a prominent figure in Ring of Honor for a long time because of the lockdown, despite being their world champion. Roosh first won the title from Matt Taven and then lost it and then won it back again from PCO, which was a bit of a meme viral sort of, I'm so hip and down with the kids. A bit of a kind of an attention-grabbing title reign because of obviously PCO's age and the ludicrous stuff he was doing in the ring. But Roosh seemed to be, I guess, more of a complete package in the ring. He had a look, he had a style, he had a legacy behind him with his work in Mexico, and yet despite that, this lockdown, this whole situation has come about at a really bad time for him. It kind of just cut short his second title reign in Ring of Honor. So yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if Rush's title reign was just cut short by his contract expiring and Ring of Honor not wanting to sign an extension, I suppose. That would be similar, I guess, to what happened in Impact recently with Tessa Blanchard, being removed from the company while being their world champion. It was a very strange set of circumstances, but we could see it happen again with Rush in Ring of Honor. It would be a tremendous shame, I think, because he's fantastic to watch in the ring, very entertaining, very explosive, but at the same time, it hasn't really seen the best. We haven't seen the best of Rush in Ring of Honor, I think it's fair to say. And I think, if both parties recognise that his best work could be done elsewhere, maybe it would just be an amicable agreement that they would both come to. I don't really know, but we'll see what happens. Thank you for watching this video. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. Leave your thoughts and opinions on any of these news stories in the comments section down below. Stay safe out there, try to stay positive, and I'll see you very soon.